Welcome back my YouTube channel. Myself B Krishna, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, University College of Engineering, Adikavinana University. Today I am with another video. Here I am going to discuss about CMOS steady state and dynamic electrical behavior. CMOS steady state and dynamic electrical behavior. Apart from, firstly I am going to discuss about CMOS steady state electrical behavior. Steady state means doesn't change inputs and outputs. Okay, the steady state behavior is the behavior of the circuit when the input and outputs are not changing. Here I am going to discuss about the following points: logic levels and noise margins. Logic levels are nothing but logic 0 and logic 1 as input levels. Similarly, logic 0 and logic 1 the output levels. During the practice, some unwanted signals are entering into the circuit, nothing but noise. Due to that noise, the unwanted results are expected, unexpected results are generating at the output side. So before going to design the circuit, we have to adjust the margins of the noise. Then only we are getting the estimated results at the output of the circuit. And second point, circuit behavior with resistive loads. Let us observe the behavior of the circuit to make a resistor load at the or to connect the resistor loads or load circuit at the output side of the particular circuit. Then you have to observe the circuit behavior, is getting proper response or not. And third point, estimating sink and source current for CMOS inverter. As well as here also you have to make the loads, you have to connect the load circuit at the output of particular circuit. Then you have to calculate the sink and source currents. And fourth point, circuit behavior with the non-ideal inputs. Non-ideal input means not exactly logic 0 and not exactly logic 1. Somewhat values will be adjustable. Those values are given to the input of the circuit. Then you have to observe the behavior. It is getting the proper levels response or not. So these are the 4 points I want to discuss in details. Next slide. Okay, first one, logic levels and noise margins. Here let us see the block. Right side block nothing but regard to the input characteristics, and left side block is regard to the output characteristics. So in between there are, you have to observe VOL maximum, VIL maximum, VIH minimum, VOH minimum, and NMH, NML. Okay. Here VIH minimum is the high level input voltage. It is the minimum voltage level required for a logic 1. It is the minimum voltage level required for a logic 1 at the input. Any voltage below this level, that is VIH minimum, any voltage below this level will not be accepted as logic high by the circuit as input voltage. Similarly, VIL maximum, it is the low level input voltage. It is the maximum voltage level required for a logic 0 at the input. Any voltage above this level will not be accepted as logic 0 as input to the circuit. Similarly, VOH minimum, high level output voltage. It is the minimum voltage level at the circuit output in the logical 1 state under defined load conditions. Similarly, VOL maximum, it is the maximum voltage level at a logic circuit output. in logical zero state under defined load condition. Okay. So these are the input and output characteristics. In practice, due to unwanted signals called noise, sometimes the voltage drops below VIH minimum or rise above VIL maximum, which produce unpredictable response, as I told you in previous slide. So these are the problems. So the noise immunity of a logic circuit refers to the circuit's ability to tolerate the noise without causing a spurious changes in the output. To avoid this problem due to noise voltage levels, VIH minimum is kept a few fraction of volts above VOH minimum, and the voltage level VIL maximum is kept above VOL maximum at design time. Okay, so here VNH is the difference between the lowest possible high output, that is VOH minimum, and the minimum VIH required for high input is called high state VNH TC noise margin, similarly VNL. So VNH equal to VOH minimum minus VIH minimum. Similarly, Vn equal to difference of VIL maximum minus VOL maximum. And the power supply rails. VOH minimum is VCC minus 0.1. Similarly, VIH minimum, it is the minimum voltage required as high level. So 70% of VCC you are applied the input voltage, that level here stated as input as high. Similarly, VIL maximum, so 30% of VCC you can use that logic level here is a maximum input voltage level as logic 0 level. Similarly, VOL maximum, that is nothing but ground plus, that is VSS plus 0.1 volts. So these are the proper noise margins and voltage levels, input voltage levels and output voltage levels are how to design before you have to adjust these values before going to design. Then only we are getting the expected results from the particular circuit diagram. The voltage level for CMOS varies according to the subfamilies. Okay, here such as 4000 series BD, 74HC high speed CMOS, 74HCT high speed CMOS TTL compatible, 74AC advanced CMOS, and 74ACT advanced CMOS TTL compatible logic families. So these are the different CMOS logic families. According to those families, the voltage levels are various. VIH minimum for 4000B series 3.5, for 74HC 3.5, 74HCT 2.0, 74AC 3.5, 74ACT is 2.0. VIL next, VIL maximum is the 1.5 for 4000B, 74HC series 1.35, 74HCT 0.8, 74AC 1.5, 74ACT 0.8. Like that, VOH minimum and VOL maximum, VNH and VNL, these are the different voltage levels according to the different CMOS subfamilies. Next, circuit behavior with resistive loads. Okay, here the circuit behavior with resistive loads, the input impedance of CMOS gate is very high and therefore they consume very little current from the circuit that drive them. However, there are other devices such as discrete resistors, TTL gate, LED relay, which are non-trivial amount of current to operate. When such a device is connected to a CMOS output, we say it is a resistor load or DC load. As I told you in previous slide, discuss the points. Circuit behavior with the resistor loads. There I said the resistor loads are making at the output of the particular CMOS circuit. Then only we are observing the circuit behavior. Like that, here see here resistive model. The first part RP and RN, VN, Vout. That block is nothing but CMOS inverter circuit. At the other side, resistive load 1 kilo ohm, 2 kilo ohm is connected as a resistive load, and that resistive load is simplified by using Thevenin's equivalent circuit. Here it is the R Thevenin nothing but 667 ohms and V Thevenin is 3.33 volts. So this is the Thevenin's equivalent circuit. So by using here, let us see here, compared to first diagram, the middle of the diagram is RP is 200 ohms and Rn is 1 greater than 1 mega ohm. As I told you in first PPT class, if the device is going to on condition, it occupies very less amount of resistance across the device. If the device is going to on off condition, it occupies very large amount of resistance across the device. Like that, here 200 ohms is for P channel and greater than 1 mega ohm for N channel. Means according to that resistance range, the P channel is going to on condition and the N channel is going to off condition. Okay. If the N channel is going to off condition, it is going to act as open circuit. If the P channel is going to on condition, there is a connection, there is a path in between VCC to Vout. Then we are expecting response is at the output terminal 4.61 volts practically. But in generally, I want to say Vout equal to VCC, but practically the value is 4.61 volts. Similarly, third diagram, low output. Here, let us see here, the P channel resistance is greater than 1 mega ohm and the N channel resistance is 100 ohms. Means now the P channel is going into off condition, N channel is going to on condition. So now the connectivity is available in between Vout to VCC and the disconnection is available in between VCC to output. So whatever the data is available at Vout, that will discharge to ground. So finally we are getting response as 0, generally logic 0 as output response, but practically there is a slight amount of voltage available, that is nothing but 0.43 volts. Okay. Next, estimating sink and source current for CMOS inverter. As I told you in previous slide, when we are making the load circuits are connected at the output of the circuit, then we have to estimate, we have to calculate the current. Okay. So let us consider the CMOS inverter with resistive load circuit shown in figure. Here, resistive model of output circuit is not shown because assume on resistance of the device is 0 and no voltage is dropped across it. In figure A, the output voltage is low. The output voltage is low. The entire voltage VTH 3.33 volts drop across the R Thevenin 667 ohms. So the estimated sink current is 5 millivolts. You have to calculate it. Go through the textbook, okay? The output voltage from figure A, the output voltage is low volts, then the entire voltage that is nothing but V Thevenin's voltage drop across the 667 ohms. So the estimated sink current is I out equal to 5 volts, 5 milliamps. Coming to figure B, the output voltage is 5 volts. So the voltage drop across the R Thevenin's is 1.67 volts. So the estimated source current is I out equal to 2.5 milliamps. So how we are getting the 1.6 volts? Okay, let us see the current direction. Input voltage low voltage, P channel is going to on condition. There is a connectivity in between VDD and V out. So the V out equal 5 volts. The V Thevenin is 3.33 volts. The difference between that voltage will be dropped across the R Thevenins. The difference voltage nothing but 1.67 volts is dropped across the 667 ohms. So by that we can estimate the source current is 2.5 milliamps. Like that, in figure A, input voltage is high. Regarding the input voltage, as we know, P channel is off, N channel is going to on. So means V out is 0, that V out discharges to ground through N channel. So finally we are getting output response as 0, but there is a V Thevenin's voltage 3.33 volt and V out is 0. Difference is 3.33 volts is completely drop across the R Thevenins. So the maximum amount of current that will be dropped, that is the maximum amount of current nothing but 5 millivolts is I out equal to 5 milliamps. So 5 milliamps at the first figure. So understand. Next, circuit behavior with the non-ideal inputs. Similarly, as I told you in previous slide, we are giving the non-ideal inputs, then what is the output response? As we know, the ideal inputs are logic 1 and logic 0, but here we are giving not exactly logic 1 and logic 0. Then we can observe the behavior of the circuit. So far we have assumed the high and low inputs to the CMOS inverter are ideal voltages, that is 5 volts and 0 volts. However, the CMOS inverter is not closer to the ideal voltages, then the on transistor may not be fully on and its resistance may increase. Carefully observe here. However, the CMOS inverter is not close to the ideal voltages, then the on transistor may not be fully on and its resistance may increase. The off transistor may not be fully off and its resistance is quite bit less than the mega ohms. So these two factors affect the output voltage. The output voltages are not ideal, but they are well within the range. Let us observe here in the first diagram. The V input is 1.5 volts. 1.5 volts is not an ideal input voltage as low voltage. Then they are partially on and partially off. As in previous slide, the on resistance of the device 200 ohms, but here by applying low voltage, that not closer to the low voltage, so the resistance may increase. As I told you in this paragraph, concentrate the point. The CMOS inverter is not close to the ideal voltage, then the on resistance may not be fully on and its resistance may increase. Okay, in first diagram the resistance is increased with non-ideal input, and the off transistor by applying low input voltage N channel is going to off. So generally we know if the device is on, it has large amount of resistance across the device. It is greater than mega ohms. So here the off transistor may not be fully off and its resistance is quite a bit less than the mega ohm. These factors affect the output voltage. See here, the N channel is not fully off. Its resistance is decreases from mega ohms to kilo ohms, that is 2.5 kilo ohms. And observe the output response. Vout equal to 4.31 volts. Vout equal to 4.3 volts. But it is available within the valid range. So here Vout equal to 5.5 volts into 2.5 kilo ohm by 2.5 kilo ohms plus 400, that equal to 4.3 volts. Here 5 volts nothing but VCC. Okay. Similarly, coming to figure 2, that is figure B. V input is 3.5 volts. It is not closer to the 5 volts, but it is a non-ideal input as high. If you are giving high input voltage, then the P channel is going to off condition, N channel is going to on condition. So compare the first diagram. The P channel resistance will be increases from ohms to kilo ohms, and the on channel resistance here, it is N channel is going to on condition by giving the proper input voltage, that is 3.5 volts. The N channel is going to on. So compare to first diagram, the kilo ohms to ohms. So let us calculate the output response. Vout equal to 5 volts into 200 ohms by 200 plus 4K, that equal to 0.24 volts available at the output side, also within the range of the output levels. This is the overall concept, is circuit behavior with the non-ideal inputs. Understand? Next. For 1.5 volts as input voltage with resistive load, the output voltage further reduced to 3.98 volts. And for 3.5 volts as input voltage with resistive loads, then the output voltage is 0.93 volts. Okay. As we given in previous that non-ideal input in previous slide discuss by applying the input voltage or non-ideal input voltage and observe the output responses. But here I am going to connect the output circuit, output of the CMOS inverter with the resistive load. Again we have to calculate the output voltage for non-ideal inputs. Okay. First circuit, CMOS inverter with the load and non-ideal input is 1.5 volts. As you know, by applying input voltage is low voltage, the P channel is going to partially on, N channel is going to partially off. So the P channel resistance is 400 ohms and the N channel resistance is 2.5 kilo ohms. Calculate the output response. Vout equal to 3.33 volts, nothing but V Thevenin's plus 4.3 volts minus 3.33 volts. 4.3 volts nothing but output response, and 3.33 volts nothing but V Thevenin's into 667 by 2.5 kilo ohms parallel with the 400 ohms plus 67. So this is the overall output response, nothing but 3.98 volts. Once you have to calculate it for non-ideal input, and you have to verify it. For non-ideal input, that is 3.5 volts for second diagram. Generally I am giving here 3.5 volt nothing but logic high, but it is not closer to the logic high, nothing but it is a non-ideal input voltage. The P channel is going to increase the resistance value, N channel is going to decrease the resistance value from kilo ohms to ohms, and P channel is ohms to kilo ohms. So means the voltage drop across the maximum voltage drop through the ground through the N channel. So finally we are getting Vout equal to 0.31 like that. So now again we have to calculate the response. Vout equal to 3.33 volts minus 0.24 volts. That 0.24 nothing but output response of the second diagram by applying 3.5 volts as input into 200 ohm parallel with the 4K by 200 ohms parallel with the 4K plus 667 ohms plus 0.24 volts. Approximately we are getting the value V out is 0.93 volts. Again we are getting the output response closer to the output voltage ranges. This is the circuit behavior with non-ideal inputs without without connecting the load circuit, and with the load circuit here we are observing the output responses with giving the non-ideal inputs. Next, dynamic electrical behavior. Dynamic means may change during the particular amount of time period. The response of the circuit will be changes during the amount of time. So here the speed and power consumption of CMOS device are mostly depends on AC and dynamic characteristics of the device and its load. So here I am going to discuss about 3 points: transition time, propagation delay, power consumption. Transition time, nothing but amount of time to take output of logic circuit takes to change from one state to another state. Okay, transition time means the particular amount of time to take the output it changes from one state to another state, nothing but transition time. Let us observe the waveforms. Okay, here TR and TF. So TR is the particular amount of transmission rise time, and TF nothing but particular amount of fall time. Rise time means 0 to 1 and fall time means 1 to 0. That is particular amount of time to change the output from one state to another state. Okay, and here let us see the VIL maximum and VIH minimum. See the actual response, but ideal response is pulse response, and realistic is making like that, and actual response is going to this way. So this is the particular amount of time to change the output from one state to another state. So rise time, it is the time taken by the output to change from low to high, and fall time, it is the time taken by the output to change from high to low. The rise time and fall time of CMOS output depends mainly on two factors, that is nothing but on transistor resistance and the load capacitance. As I told in previous slide, here we can observe the circuit dynamic behavior with the AC loads. Here AC component nothing but capacitor. Fall time. Firstly, I want to go discuss about fall time. Let us have the circuit diagram. Figure A, high state. Figure B is the low state. High state is the output response, low state is the output response. How? The first figure is going to generate the output response as high state. Okay. At time t equal 0, output is still 5 volts. And let us see the block diagram. Let us see the circuit diagram in figure A. The P channel resistance is 200 ohms. Means less amount of resistance is across the device. Means the device is on by applying the input voltage as low. Okay, so V out equal to 5 volts. By applying input is low, the P channel is going on, so means very less amount of, in terms of ohms, that amount of resistance is available across the particular P channel. At the same time, the N channel is greater than 1 mega ohm, nothing but N channel is going to off. So due to that, the P channel is going to on, there is a connectivity in between V out to VDD. So V out equal 5 volts generally, and current is, minimum current is here, and the whatever the voltage available, the output response, that is charges in the capacitor. Okay, at time t equal 0, the output V is still 0, sorry, the output is still 5 volts. At time t equal to infinity, at time t equal to infinity, the capacitor must be fully discharges. The V out will be 0. In between, the value of V out 1 is governed by the exponential law. between the value of V out is governed by the exponential law. And rise time. At time t equals 0, the V out is still 0. At time t equals 0, the V out is still 0. But at time t equals infinity, the capacitor is fully charged and the V out will be 5 volts. In between, the value of V out is governed by the exponential law. Rise time means how can we understand the rise time here and fall time? Rise time means the capacitor is fully charges. Fall time means the capacitor fully discharges. Here time t equal to 0 is the initial condition. Time t equal to infinity is going away. In between, the input responses will be changes. According to the input response, the output response also changes. The changing output response will be charging the capacitor or discharging the capacitor. Charging nothing but rise time, discharging nothing but fall time. Understand? Okay. Rise time and fall time. Fall time means, as I told you in previous slide, that is here fall time. Initially V out equal to 5 volts. Okay. At time t equal 0, V out is still 5 volts. At time t equal infinity, the input will be changes. So according to that infinity, or at time t equal to, the time is taken larger amount of time, the capacitor what happen? It will discharge to ground. Another way. Are you understand the basic function or basic working operation of behind the circuit? At time t equal infinity, the capacitor will discharges. At the same time, as we know, the input voltage will be changes. Then the path is changes from VD to V out to VSS. So the capacitor will discharge to ground through N channel. These are the two diagrams. At time t equal infinity, second diagram. At time t equal 0, first diagram. Time t equal infinity, the input will be changes. So then the channel resistance will be channel conditions. On and off condition also changes. So then the capacitor will be discharges. Nothing but fall time. Similarly, rise time. Here at time t equal 0, the V out is still 0. Means V out to VSS is the connection, because of the N channel is having very less amount of resistance and the P channel is having larger amount of resistance. At time t equal infinity, the input is changes, the connectivity path is changes. So V out to VSS is disconnected. Now VD to V out is connected. Finally, V out equal to 5 volts. That 5 volt will be charges to the capacitor. So then it is rise time. So these are the rise time and fall time analysis. Now to derive that. Second, propagation delay. The propagation delay Tp of a signal path is the amount of time that it takes for a change in the input signal to produce change in the output signal. So generally 50% amount of time to change in state from one state to another state, low to high state, is the minimum time required. Let us see here the TPHL, it is the delay time measured when the output is changed from high to low, and TPLH, it is the delay time measured when the output is changed from low to high. So means the propagation delay for the logic gate is TP equal maximum TPHL comma TPLH. Sometimes the propagation delay time is taken TP equal to into TPHL plus TPLH. So 50% of amount time to take to change from one state to another state. These are the propagation delay. Next, power consumption. The amount of power consumed in this way depends on both the values of VCC and the rate at which the output transition occurs. That is PT equal to CPD into VC square into F, where PT is the circuit internal power distribution due to output transition, and VC is the power supply voltage, and F is the transition frequency of the output signal. Next, CMOS logic families. The commercially available CMOS logic families are nothing but 4000 series CMOS, 74HC high speed CMOS, and 74HCT high speed CMOS TTL compatible, and VHC very high speed CMOS, and VHCT very high speed CMOS TTL compatible, FCT FCTT. So these are the different CMOS logic families we have to discuss in detail here. Coming to first one, 4000 series CMOS logic family. So it offers the benefit of low power consumption, and it was fairly slow generating the response, and it was not easy to interface with other most popular logic families such as like TTL. Okay, and next one is HC and HCT. These are the two first 74 series CMOS logic families. HC is nothing but high speed CMOS, and HCT is nothing but high speed CMOS TTL compatible logic families. These families have higher speed and better syncing and sourcing capabilities than 4000 series CMOS logic families. Okay, and next thing nothing but VHC and VHCT, very high speed CMOS logic family and very high speed CMOS TTL compatible logic families. So here in 1980s and 1990s, two more logic families are introduced such as nothing but VHC and VHCT. These families about twice as fast compared to HC and HCT, and these families are having different levels, like that input levels each other only in the inputs. Next one is FCT and FCT2 families. In 1990s, two more logic families are introduced such as nothing but FCT, fast CMOS TTL compatible, fast CMOS TTL compatible with TTL VOH. So while these families are nothing but while reducing the power consumption and maintaining full compatibility with the TTL logic families. So these are the different CMOS logic families are discussed here. Thank you. If you have any doubts, please go through the textbook or you have to call me. Thank you.